Yeah, so I'm so happy that you all um, make it here during the week. I know it's getting to class is one of the first hurdles, right? Whether you can just turn on your Zoom and get to your room in your house and open it up, or in the before times when you had to make your way to a yoga class somewhere, um, that used to be a big hurdle to get to. And now I think sometimes it can be a hurdle to get to it from your house because you're busy doing things, and then you forget to turn on the Zoom or settle down. But it's a practice, and practice keeps practicing, not that we're going for perfection. And then I mentioned in the Facebook post about this class that we were going to do a little bit about secret yoga, because I want to share all these little places where you can sort of sneak yoga into your day. And yoga is not just necessarily doing a yoga pose. That's a piece of it, but it's all those things, right? It's like bringing your body into your mind awareness with your body, your gaze, where your eyes are looking, which can be very distracting at home, right? Like you look down and you see like dust bunnies here or there, like, you get distracted. But but then, so having your body in a place of concentration, your gaze is focused on whatever you're doing, or just a soft gaze about where you are, and especially if you're doing a balanced pose. And then your breath is going to make the difference between just doing something and working toward a state of yoga, which is a state of concentration. So we'll take a few minutes, if you all find a seated position, to work on the Ujjai breath again. We've done this in the past, and we'll bring it back into awareness of how to do it, because the Ujjai breath is that secret part of yoga you can do anywhere. You can be sitting in your kitchen or making dinner or whatever and do Ujjai breath. And that's going to work on stimulating the vagus nerve that comes from the brainstem down into the body. And once it's stimulated, it's turned on, which is bringing you into more of a parasympathetic nervous state, so that you are in that rest and digest state. So you're more responsive to the world around you. So just right here, as you sit up tall and be aware of, of the space around your lungs, just take an inhale through your nose and then exhale and say to yourself, I am whispering. So in a whisper, just say, I am whispering. So you can feel what it feels like to whisper, I am whispering. You can just feel what that feels like. And then the next time you do this, just take an inhale through your nose and just make that whispering sound with your exhale through your mouth. And go to the full extent of your inhale and the full extent of your exhale. So your inhale is through your nose and your exhale is through your mouth. And hear it and feel it. That sound is making a little vibrational reaction to your vagus nerve. So, and then you can slow it down as you fill the lungs fully through your nose. Do it a few times in a row, just getting sort of practiced with that feeling, the sound. And the next time you come back through your exhale, halfway through the open mouth exhale, you're going to close your mouth, but still make that sound. So you'll breathe through the nose to inhale. Exhale. Closing your mouth and still feeling it in the back of your throat. You're inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Eventually, where you're closing your mouth and you're still exhaling through the nose, but making that sound. And it's hard, it's a challenge, this is a practice. And then see if you can keep your mouth closed the whole time with your inhale coming through your nose, your exhale coming through your nose, and you're still making that whispering sound. And then bonus points if you can make that sound on your inhale as well. So the breath is still going through the nose and making the sound through the back of the throat with your mouth closed. Nice. And this is Ujjai Breath. And then staying seated, continuing where you are, continue breathing. I'm going to join you on the floor. You can raise your gaze up if you've closed your eyes and just be aware of your place in the room. And we'll begin to make a little bit more room for the breath to get a little deeper, but continue with that Ujjai breath. And so your left hand's going to come out to the side, either fingertips down or heel of the hand down or on a block, reaching the right arm up and over as feels right in your shoulder. And then start to feel how the breath, not only can you hear it and feel it through the back of the throat, perhaps you can feel the body reacting to the rib cage, expanding and contracting. Keep rooted through that right sit bone. On your next inhale, you'll raise your hand up and let it come over and dangle as you drop your left ear closer to the shoulder and traction the neck space and feel for the tension releasing through the jawline, the neck, the shoulder, continuing with that Ujjai breath. So the secret yoga is just this breathing, and whatever you're doing, breathing deeply with that sound, smoothing it out, practicing, feeling for the sensation. And then exhaling, dropping the chin slightly forward as you bring your right hand over and left hand rises up, lengthening through the left rib cage. Deep inhalations, deep exhalations with sound. And maybe you can only make the sound on the exhale, which is common of how we make sound with talking. Maybe work toward getting the sound on the inhale. Just find the smoothness of the breath. And then keeping that right hand there, left hand comes over and dangles, dropping right ear closer to the shoulder, tractioning the neck space, breathing here. And then exhaling, dropping the chin slightly forward, bringing the spine back to neutral, bring the ears up over the shoulders, and just pause for a moment. Feel rooted through the sit bones, the chest slightly lifting as the spine migrates forward. Feeling that regal spine. Continuing with your Ujjai breath. On your next inhale, you reach the hands out to the sidewall, push the air up, touch at the top of the inhale and pause. Exhale, flip the palms out and down, touching down at the bottom of the exhale and pause. Inhale, flipping the palms, pushing the air, lifting through the chest. And exhaling out and down. And we'll do this 2 more times. Inhale, bring the hands up. Exhale down. And one more time up. And exhale down. And pause, noticing sensation, noticing residue of the movement in the body. And we're going to take the right hand behind you, either on the seat that you're sitting on or the fingertips down, and turning the belly and the heart and the chin, using whatever leg works to leverage the twist, keeping the spine nice and vertical as you turn your gaze over your left shoulder. And feel the rib cage expand with the inhales, and the spine get long with the exhales. Feel what it feels like with that Ujjai breath. That breath is deep and with sound. The gaze is steady, or you can close your eyes and feel for that sensation from the inside out in this shape. So breath and gaze and body all working together in this pose. And then keeping the hands where they are. Next inhale just looks over your right shoulder. Keep the spine long, the breath deep. And then inhaling, releasing that twist and pausing with the moment with the spine neutral, listening and sensing the residue of that twist. And then taking the other side. So right hand comes behind you, choosing a knee to leverage the twist, staying upright as you turn belly, then heart, then the chin, gazing over your right shoulder. Spine is long with your exhales. Your rib cage is expanding with your inhales, contracting with the exhales. Breathing. And keeping the hands where they are. Next inhale looks over your left shoulder. So feel for the tissues of the body, the expanding and contracting from the breath cycles, the rootedness of the legs. And then inhaling, releasing that twist and pausing for a moment with your spine neutral. Nice. Let's interlace the fingers, press the palms away and bring the hands overhead if that feels okay, or you could keep them forward if the shoulders don't like that position. Press from the elbows to the wrists. You're trying to sort of stretch the inside of the wrist a bit. Lifting up through the belly and then leaning over to the left side gently, keeping the spine nice and long. Keep rooted through that right sit bone and breathing deeply. A little bit more challenging to breathe. It's fully with your arms overhead. You try to get the lungs filled up underneath the collarbones. Empty them all deeply through the exhale. And then inhale, coming back to center, and exhaling over to the other side. Keep rooted through that left sit bone, pressing through the wrists, breathing here. And then inhale, coming back to center, and exhale, release the hands behind you and interlace the fingers or hook the thumbs, somehow connect the arms, drawing the knuckles down and lifting the hands away from your body. And then broadening the collarbones and either dropping the chin or lifting the chin, just feeling for all the other different little tight spots around the shoulder, the neck, the shoulder blades, the collarbones. Deep, deep, deep inhales, deep, deep, deep exhales. And then inhale, looking up and releasing the hands and coming back to a neutral position and pausing for a moment. Nice. And then coming off of your seat, let's come to a hands and knees position. So you can place a blanket under your knees if you want a little extra cushioning. Palms are going to be right underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, toes drawing back. Just getting yourself set up. And once you get there, just have a notion of where your pelvis is. So let's just tip the pelvis back so the tailbone goes up and the belly drops. The front of the pelvis comes forward. Exhale, tailbone goes down and lift the belly to the spine and the pelvis tips back. So inhale, tipping the pelvis forward. Exhale, tipping the pelvis back. Just getting a little mobility through the lower spine. Moving gently with the body and the breath. And then completing the breath cycle you're on and make your way back to a neutral position with the pelvis again. Take the left foot back behind you and press into the ball of the foot, reaching through the heel. Keep that left hand grounded. Right hand comes forward and palm faces the center, rolling the shoulder away from the ear. Lift the belly to the spine and push the left foot off the floor to hip height. The floating limbs are active. You're reaching through the fingertips, reaching through the toes, drawing the belly to the spine so you secure the core. Breathing deeply. Combining that Ujjai sound with the back of the throat, making the sound. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, take the right hand down below your shoulder, but take the left foot across the right side off of your mat. As you turn to the left hand reaches to the ceiling. And then exhale, reach the left hand towards the front of the mat. So nice long side line from the left pinky toe to the left pinky finger. And if you feel unbalanced, try to make the left foot and the right knee on separate planes, so to speak. So they're not on a balance beam. And then inhale, reach that left hand to the ceiling again. Exhale, turn back towards the mat, hands and knees. And then taking the right foot back once you get there, reach through the heel, pressing into the ball of the foot so you lengthen the calf and integrate up into the hip. Keep the right hand grounded, left hand comes forward, palm faces center. Lift the belly to the spine and push the back foot off the floor to hip height. Feel long through those limbs in the air. Feel rooted through the right hand and left knee. Back of the neck is long. Find that Ujjai sound with the throat, the breath vibrating softly. Take one more inhale here. Exhale the left hand down below the shoulder. Take your right foot over to the left side off of the mat, turning towards your right. Reach the right hand to the ceiling as you inhale, and then exhale, reach the right hand towards the front of the mat. Nice long side body. Feel the lengthening from the right pinky finger down alongside the armpit, the side belly, the hip, down to the right toes. And then inhale, reach the right hand to the ceiling again. Exhale, turn back towards the mat, hands and knees. Pausing there. Nice. And then coming into a plank pose from here. So touching the toes, you could either do one leg at a time, stepping the one leg back, reaching through the heel and engaging from the leg up into the core, or take both legs back and holding that. If you're doing one leg at a time, you'd hold one leg back for a few breaths and switch over to the other leg. If you're doing both legs, take them both back, spreading the toes, reaching to the heels. Collarbones are broad and keeping the breath steady. One more inhale here. And then exhale, bend both knees, drop your belly to the floor. Come all the way down onto your belly. Palms can stay underneath the shoulders or slightly back a little bit more so the palms are next to the rib cage a bit. Elbows drawing back, pressing the tops of the toes on the floor, lifting the nape of the neck, come into a bit of a baby cobra. You're pressing the palms into the floor to get a little higher, but then soften the hands from the floor and retain that height as best you can, using the muscles of the back body, breathing into the rib cage in the back. Smooth Ujjayi sound through the back of the throat. Keeping the body receptive. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, release your chin to the floor. Release your hands down alongside your body, palms facing up. And then next inhale, lifting the soles of the feet off the floor, lift the nape of the neck off the floor. Maybe the palms lift off the floor. Feel long and tall. Lifting, reaching, activating through the fingers and toes. Finding that breath. Now, if the breath gets away from you, you can't retain the Ujjai breath, come down in any pose that you feel like you've lost the Ujjai. Gone a bit too far, you want to stay with the breath. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, slowly lower back down. Pausing for a moment, noticing the residue of that shape. And then reaching the hands forward, palms facing each other, perhaps. And then lifting the soles of the feet off the floor, lift the nape of the neck, lift the arms as best you can, reaching long. Finding space, length, and height in this. Breathing here. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, lower everything back down and pause. Just noticing sensation. And we'll do one more variation from the spine today. Reach the hands behind you and either hold on to your shirt or hook the thumbs, or if you have a strap handy, you can hold the strap or interlace the fingers. Somehow connect the hands. Broaden the collarbones, rocking the shoulder blades back a little bit further. And then you're lifting the soles of the feet, lift the nape of the neck, and reach the knuckles toward the heels, if that makes sense. So your spine is long. Breathing deeply. Feel the rib cage expand and contract with the breath cycles, listening for that Ujjayi sound through the back of the throat. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, slowly lower down and pause. You can bring your hands under your forehead or whatever feels comfortable to release into this. And then bring your hands under your shoulders. You can lift yourself back up through hands and knees back to a child's pose. So the knees could be together or the knees could be further apart. Come down onto your forearms first. Keep the spine nice and long. Sink the hips back towards the heels. Maybe the head rests on the floor, or maybe you have a blanket or a block handy. You can release the back body. Maybe the hands stay forward, or maybe the hands come back alongside your body. For the upper arms sometimes are able to rest on the upper legs. And then inhaling, bringing yourself back to a hands and knees position. And let's step that right foot forward, just the right foot. Keep the left knee down and just sink forward a bit, lengthening through the front of the left quadricep. Feel what this feels like. The hands could stay on the thigh, or maybe you reach the hands out wide or up overhead, lifting the chest. You can even feel the collarbones kind of drawing back and reversing that kyphotic curve in your back. The more the hands come back behind the ears, it sort of broadens the shoulders a bit. Take one more inhale here and exhale. Bring the hands down. Let's switch sides. So you take that right foot back, step the left foot forward, lean a little bit further forward into the right thigh. Maybe the hands stay on the thigh, or maybe they come up maybe wide. So they're like cactus arms, or maybe a little straighter. Trying to lift the chest, finding more of a sort of you're bursting through the front of your heart. Pressing into the top of the back foot makes the knee a little lighter as well. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, hands come down. Now this time you're going to tuck your right toes and step forward. Come into a bit of a squat. So the spine is long, and using the bent legs to press up into a standing position. Long spine. Nice. Very good. And then coming back to your mountain pose, wherever that might be, at the front of your mat or turning to the side. And then the feet are about hip distance apart. You're finding that balance between the feet, the mountain pose, pressing them down and away. And then we'll go into, from our mountain pose, we're going to go into a balancing on the balls of the feet. So if you want to be near something for support, you can do that, or you can do one leg at a time. That's another, you can switch one leg at a time. Otherwise, we're going to do both at the same time, but with your breath. So I'm just giving a little preview. So we're going to first let's do the hands on the waist to begin with. We'll bring the arms into it in a minute. So you're going to inhale, come up onto your balls of your foot. Maybe it's one at a time. Maybe you just do one this time. And then exhale, slowly lower down with control. Nice. Inhale, coming slowly up. Nice. And exhale, slowly down. And then we can add the arms, release the hands. Inhale, bring the hands overhead, come onto the balls of your feet. The arms have to travel further. And then exhale, the arms have to travel further back down as the heels come down and the hands reach the side. At the same time, trying to coordinate their destinations and with their breath. Nice. Go ahead and do this at your own pace. Really explore the connection between the inhale and the pause, and the exhale and the pause. And complete the one you're on and do one more after that. When you're done with that one, you're just going to pause and notice the residue of the movement. Okay. And then coming to a position where you're facing one end of your mat, so you have some space to move. We're going to do a similar thing. This is another Vinyasa movement. We'll step the left foot back, just so that you feel like you took a big step back. And then we're going to step forward, lifting the right arm up and the left knee, almost like you're going to be marching. And then exhaling, coming back to that position. Maybe the left hand raises while you're back here. So you're switching arms. So right arm comes forward, left knee comes up. Inhaling and then exhaling back and the left arm up. Nice. Go back and forth, trying to coordinate the breath, the movement, the balance, and the destination with that exhale. Back and forth. Go ahead. It doesn't have to be too long of a pause, just like a trapeze where you've come into the air, it floats for a moment, and then you go right back to your other side. Let's do that a couple more times. Nice. And once you're done with that second one, you can just pause with your arms down, step forward into your mountain pose, and switch sides. Nice. So now imagining what the next side is going to be. So you're going to lean forward as your inhale, step up with your left arm comes up. See, I just messed it up. And then stepping back and the right arm goes up. So opposite arm, opposite leg. Feel how the breath inflates and lifts you. And the inhales and the exhales ground and stabilize. Back and forth. Nice. Slowing. Sometimes when we know the pattern, we kind of rush through it, sort of knowing that we're ending somewhere, but the journey is the destination as well. Nice. Let's do it one more time. When you're done with that one, you'll just step forward to your mountain pose and pause for a moment. So the thinking of these Vini yoga movements is a lot about working with the different hemispheres of the brain. And just notice sensation in the body, the breath. It's a little bit more cardio, right? And then we're going to separate the feet out about as wide as your elbows, coming into something more traditional like our triangle pose. So your right toes toward the right, left toes in. Arms are up to a T, and just feel this lofting. So actually we can just spend a couple breaths just inhaling, lifting them up, pausing, and exhale, bringing the hands down. Just getting used to how the Ujjai breath lifts the arms, and you exhale down. And the next time you come up, you can pause. And then the exhale, you can hinge over. Take the breath into the shape. Rolling the ribs up. Maybe the left hand reaches to the ceiling. Maybe the left hand waits on the waist. And still feel as we hold this dynamic, or this static pose rather, the breath is still dynamic, where you're still breathing. The inhale and a pause. An exhale and a pause. Next inhale brings the torso up, arms go wide. And let's pivot over to the other side. And let's take a couple of breaths here where you exhale the hands down. Inhale, float them up. Exhale down. Inhaling up. One more time down. And inhale up. And this now you're going into your triangle pose. Exhale, hinging over. Left hand down, right hand might be rising or reaching to the waist. And still feel that breath flowing. Inhale long and deep. Exhale long and deep. And pushing through the feet. Inhale, coming up, arms go wide. And then exhale, hands down and feet come parallel to one another and just pausing, noticing sensation. Nice. Let's separate the feet a little bit further apart. Bending into that. So you're turning the right toes toward the right, left toe slightly, and bending into the right knee. So your warrior two stance. Nice. And again, inhaling, arms up. Exhale down. Inhaling up. Exhale down. One more time, up. And this exhale to your side angle pose. So hinging over, side arm, forearm down on top of the thigh. Maybe the hand reaches overhead. Maybe the hand waits on the waist. Rolling the ribs up. Pushing back through that left heel. Lengthening both sides of the neck. Finding the breath still flowing. Nice. Any variation in the shape that you know, it's wonderful. And then pushing through the feet. Inhale brings your torso up, the arms come up. Straightening that right leg, pivot the feet around over to the left, bending into the left knee and pausing for a moment. Take an inhale here. Exhale, let the arms come down. Inhale, reach them up to shoulder height. Reach through the fingers, exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhale down. You're gazing over your left fingertips. One more time. Inhale up. And then exhale, hinging over. Forearm to the thigh or hand to the floor. Maybe right arm reaches at an angle. See if you can feel it now. The coming up could either be forward and up and over, if it feels better for the shoulder to come into that in a different entry point. Keep rooted through that right foot, lifting up through the inner ankle. And then inhale, coming back up, arms go wide, straightening the leg, turn the toes toward the side, hands to the waist, and pausing here for a moment. Nice. And then either heel toe or jump the feet or step the feet towards your mountain pose one more time. Hands to your waist. And we're going to sink into our chair pose here. Sink the bend in the knees over the toes, hips over heels. Feed the spine through the arms, holding that imaginary block. Strong, active legs. And again, finding the flow with the breath, that the pose can be steady. Lifting the belly, tailbone is heavy. And then next inhale, you'll straighten your legs, reach to the ceiling, and exhale, hands come back down by your side. Now the feet come out as wide as your mat, toes out, heels slightly in. Inhaling, arms swing out and up. Exhale, bend the knees over the toes, cross the arms, push through the feet, inhaling up. Exhale down. Inhaling up. Exhale down. One more time up. And exhale down to your squat, wherever that might be. Maybe the hands are on the thighs, forearms on thighs, or elbows in knees. Adjusting the feet. Make the knees happy. Lifting the chest, finding your breath. And finding the balance between the toes, the big toes and pinky toe in particular, the inner and outer heels. Find length in the spine. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, slowly make your way down to a seated position and bring your soles of your feet together and the knees out. And just pausing here in Badaknasana, Cobbler's pose. The feet could be matched up, heel to heel, toes to toes. You could bring the feet close to you if they are okay to do that, or further away. You suss out, what does it feel like up into your hips? The more you connect the feet, even if you open them up like a book, you could be opening the big toe side and the pinky toe sides are pressing together. You might be able to trace the sensation up into the torso. Now, if the pelvis is rolling back, maybe the hands are not touching the feet, but they're holding your pelvis more upright. Right? So we're working into the hips a bit. And maybe the chest comes slightly forward. So forward folds are always long spine. I know some lists will say forward folds are verboten, but if your pelvis is rolling forward, the spine is long, you're doing it in a safe manner. Breathing here. Nice. And then inhaling, coming back up, vertical. And then let's bring our feet flat on the floor. And actually, I think rather than feet flat on the floor, we're going to roll to one side and come onto our back. We'll do it that way, coming down onto our backs. Nice. And once you're on your back, your feet will be flat on the floor from here. Arms are alongside your body, pressing evenly through your feet. Lift your tailbone off the floor and lengthen the front side of the body. Rocking the shoulders a little closer together, perhaps, maybe holding the edge of your mat or your ankles, or interlace the fingers or hooking your thumbs, pressing into the back of the arms a little further and lifting the tailbone a little higher. Noticing if you're on your heels or your toes more. Can you balance out the feet? And go back to that Ujjayi sound with the back of the throat. The breath is smooth. Take a big inhale here. And exhale, release your arms. Slowly lower down. And then draw your hands onto your tips of your knees. So your knees stay bent, your feet are off the floor, and your hands are on the kneecaps. Take a big inhale here and exhale, bend your elbows, draw your knees down towards your chest. Inhale, straighten your arms, let your knees come over your hips. And exhale, draw the knees for the chest, bending the elbows, go back and forth. You may have to adjust your spine and just notice maybe the pelvis is tipping slightly as your knees come towards the chest. You're working at your own pace with your own breath. The exhale deepens with the belly going back to the spine. And then once you get to your next inhale, you'll release your knees and the feet come down onto the floor. You separate the feet out to the edges of the mat. The knees stay bent. Arms are out a little wider, and we'll come to our windshield wipers. You'll exhale the knees over to one side, gaze in the opposite direction. Inhale, coming back up. And exhale over to the right, or other side rather, and gaze in the opposite direction from there. And go slowly back and forth. Rock on the back of the sacrum, the back of the skull, the heels of the feet. Connecting from your Ujjayi sound of your breath with the movement, where there's an inhale and a pause, and an exhale and a pause. And the next time your knees come over to the left-hand side, You'll pause with your knees there and push a little bit through your right heel. Maybe your left ankle comes on top of your right thigh. Maybe it does not. Release the gaze to the ceiling. Release the shoulder blades down onto the mat. Continue with the Ujjai breath. We won't release that until we get to Shavasana, perhaps. So just letting the sound of the breath still be part of your personal playlist for today's practice. You can let the belly rise and fall with the breath. And on your next exhale, if your left ankle's on top of your right thigh, you'll bring that down to the edge of the mat. Inhale, bringing the knees up, and exhale, let the knees come over to the right. Once you're there, push a little bit through the left heel. Maybe the right ankle comes on top of the left thigh. Maybe it does not. And you release into this side, continuing with your Ujjayi sound for the throat. You can let the belly rise and fall. This is a little bit more restorative with the breath. And then if your right ankle's on top of your left thigh, you'll release that down to the floor. Inhale, bringing the knees up. Exhale, straighten the legs out wide, wider than your mat. Arms are out wide. Adjust your shoulder blades and your hips so your spine is neutral. And releasing the full weight of your body into the surface beneath you. Be aware of the spaces all around you. You can let the Ujjai breath release. If this feels like the right position for your Shavasana, you're welcome to stay right here. Otherwise, get anything you need to be comfortable, supported, warm. Releasing all the efforts in your body. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Release your jaw. Release your neck. Release down through your shoulders, through each of your elbows, your wrists, and all your fingers. Let your breath float away as you release down your spine, through your hips, through each of your knees, your ankles, and all your toes. And just take these last few moments of class in stillness. absorbing all the benefits of today's practice. Begin to deepen your breath. And spread your fingers and toes. Draw your legs together, arms overhead for a nice long stretch. And bending one knee at a time, roll over to one side and pause there for a moment. And using your hands and your arms, gently make your way up to a seated position. And thank you so much for sharing your practice, your energy, and your breath. May your hearts be filled with loving kindness. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be healthy and well nourished. And may you be happy. Namaste. Thanks for coming. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Mary Beth. That was wonderful.
Gina, good to see you.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
You're welcome.